IG pic, no filter. You could get the no filter. I'ma tell her how it is, no filter. Shorty, you the no filter. IG pic, no filter.
Welcome back, Hip Politics family, listeners. What's up, y'all? We got another one. I know I keep saying this like every week, like, oh, we got a great guest, we got another one. Well, this is going to be a fun one. I'm honored to be in her presence. A dynamic young leader all the way from the West Coast, but originally from the East Coast. She is a dynamic young leader, live here in the great state of Cali, the Sunshine State. But we're really I often try to bring us people who you can see yourself in, especially when we start talking to our elected officials and public servants or people who are really building great, amazing movements. Often people, it almost seems so far away from where they are. Like, how do I become a mayor? How do I get to Congress? How do I give back to my community? How do I, even something as simple as a school board or alderman? People just don't. I would say most of you, I get so many comments and feedback that like, hey, one day I might want to grow up and do that, or hey, I've been working for all these years. How do I switch over and really like serve the public and be able to do something and get elected? Like, I don't know how to run a campaign or a race. Well, we have somebody who's fearless, speaks her mind, opinionated, one of the new young millennial leaders, great millennial leaders in the country, and she happens to be a black woman, a super mom, juggling multiple jobs but representing the people. I've gotten to know her a little while we've been on this West Coast swing for hip politics. So I'm really, really, really excited to introduce to the pod, to the fam, Councilwoman Yasmine-Imani McMorrin.
Oh, hey.
Is that it? You gotta get it. What up, people? These the people.
Oh, hey, Hip Politics. How y'all doing? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm saying, am I always saying your name wrong, Yasmine?
No, Yasmine. Sorry, I would have corrected you.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I know you would have corrected me.
All right. Don't do that.
Councilwoman McMorrin, former mayor. Former mayor.
They told me once a mayor, always a mayor. So
mayor. So let me just say that. Mayor McMorrin. No, and I think I really want us to be able to get into that in a little bit, but I'm excited. I'm excited. You are a public servant who's currently serving on the Culver City Council. Culver City is a city adjacent to Los Angeles, part of Los Angeles County, correct?
We're one of the 88 cities in LA County on the west side.
88 cities, west side of LA. Right near the airport, not too far from LAX.
Yep.
You've got Amazon Studios, the famous Culver Theater. So if you do come into LA and you fly into LAX, like within 2-3 minutes, you can be right in Culver City.
5 to 10.
All right, 5. It's close.
It's close.
I see the planes. But I say that to say is that you have a very interesting career, and dynamic career that has got you all the way. I'm curious, originally from the East Coast, and now you are here and really staked your claim and set up roots here, and really serving the people here in California, in Southern California, and I think even I'm pretty sure beyond this, the rest of the country, but. Talk to me. You, like I said, you've had a remarkable journey from community advocacy to the mayor, and now currently a council member. Can you share what sparked that initial interest, like to even want to do public service? Because this is a hard life.
Yeah, it's not a soft life. It is.
Like
can be a little raggedy at times, but it's worthwhile. So backing up a little bit, I am from New Jersey. I am the daughter of a Jamaican immigrant to this country. Went to Spelman College for undergrad, went to Rutgers for law school, and I moved out here to Culver City in the summer of 2016. I had no plans to be in elected office, none, zero. I just came out here to work in education policy. because that's why I went to law school. And this is the LAUSD is the second largest school district of, in the nation, second to New York. And I figured this would be a good place to kind of, expand my career. So I started getting involved immediately in the fall of 2016 at my daughter's local PTA right here in Culver City, because I saw some opportunities to support students of color a little better. So I got involved in fundraising. I think my official role was historian, if I'm not mistaken. So the person who does like social and
You were
captures,
the PTA historian?
I was for our local chapter.
I didn't know it was that deep. I was like, maybe the president, maybe the VP.
I was new. Remember, I was new here, so it was a vacancy on the board. I was like, okay, I want to get involved. I want y'all to get to know me, and I want to support my baby a little better. So she was in the 3rd or 4th grade. And yeah, I joined the PTA. And through that, I learned how to fundraise. I learned a little bit more how politics and advocacy works in Culver City. I started giving public comments at school board meetings and city council meetings. And I got to see really the intersection between how housing policy, how transit, how public safety were impacting our kiddos in the district. So initially I was thinking about, maybe I should run for school board because there was just a lot of overlap there, but I really felt called to city council, and also people were asking me about city council. I had, longer story, I organized a new organization, the Culver City Community of Color Collective. It was a group of 6 moms of color. We created and partnered with the school district to develop Black History Month programming, new and innovative Black History Month programming. We did Kwanzaa, and we did like a back to school cookout kind of thing for our Black families, which was really cool. I was appointed to the General Plan Advisory Committee, and I became the vice chair of that board. So all this is happening like within the span of 2 to 3 years. And I'm a huge fan of joining a program. So the very next year, I came here in 2016. I joined the Los Angeles African American Women's Public Policy Institute. In 2017, I joined New Leaders Council Los Angeles in 2018, and I was a ABA Young Lawyer Fellow in 2019. So like I'm a big joiner.
I was about to, can we pause? Like, can you take a breath? Like, you just named like literally 19 different at least literally 9 or 8 different organizations. And you're a single mom, and you were working, right?
Yes, I worked at USC at the law school. I came in as the interim registrar for the law school. Then I was the associate director of student support. And then I was the interim dean of students and DEI for USC Law School.
Wow.
So I was there for like a little over 5 years.
When did you sleep?
Somehow it gets done. I don't know. It's funny what you get acclimated to.
No, I get it. No, talk to me. That's interesting. Like, coming from HBCU,
Yep.
Howard alum myself, but I'm curious if that's where some of that energy and some of that go-gettedness came from. And then, like you said, you went to Rutgers Law.
Yeah.
And then coming all the way out here to California. Was it not, to me, what I hear, and especially when I spend time out here on the West Coast, but I'm born and raised in the Midwest, but I've been on the East Coast now for decades plus. So I have a lot of East Coast hustle with still that Midwest, I would say Midwest charm.
Okay.
But when I come out here on the West Coast, I always realize, like, oh, you have an advantage because you're used to the hustle, you're used to the speed. You're like, hey, I can do more than 2 things in a day. What most people hear is like, if I do 1 or 2 good things a day, you know what? Or 1-2 things a week, that's a successful week. And it's like, I need to do a thing every hour. So what I hear when I hear that, like, because of it was community engagement, Black moms, it's the love of your child, it's the love of the community. You're the historian, so you're trying to learn your new community. You're trying to do a lot of different things, and I hear a lot of hustle in that, but like all directed in a public service setting. Where did that energy come from?
So a couple things. My mom worked at a college, Montclair State in New Jersey. My dad was a police officer, so I came from a family of service. And my late godfather was the first Black U.S. Marshal and the first Black mayor of Jersey City, New Jersey.
First Black U.S. Marshal in the country?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. Yeah, there was like articles about it. I was trying to fact check that. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm pretty sure it's right. I'm pretty sure.
If he wasn't the first, he was one of the first.
Yeah, I think he might have been the first, but I digress. And then he became the first Black state senator for his district, the 31st district, I think it was. And then when he passed away, unfortunately, when I was in high school, after a couple years, my godmom, Sandy Cunningham, ran for his seat and served until very recently. And she was the majority whip for the state legislature in New Jersey. So I've been around service and politics my whole life. I remember knocking doors for my goddad when I was a kid, but it was not something that I thought was for me. But, it's just one of my sheroes, and I work for Children's Defense Fund California in my day job, and Marion Wright Edelman, who is also my Spelman sister, and the first Black woman to become an attorney in the state of Mississippi. I founded CDF, and she says, service is the rent that we pay for living on this earth. And so, if we all do our part, the world is a little better. So I believe that.
I believe in that too. If we all do our part, the world's a little better.
It's not enough people doing their part, though.
That part.
Part, though. So when you hear this.
That part, though. A question I have, part of this platform is meant to just literally to kind of break down the barriers. I would say the information and knowledge gap barriers that there are in the complexities of the political system, from a global to a national, federal, state, even down to a local level. Because I think we were inspired to start this platform both as a pod and as a company and organization, because I think there's so much untapped power that people have in the larger political system. But it's often because of lack of knowledge. So many people don't even know what people do. Like, they get into a voting booth and it's like, am I a Democrat, Republican? Maybe I saw one or two names, maybe I saw one or two things, and then I'm just I'm abacadabraing it, like back in the day if you didn't study for the test.
C.
But
it's always C.
It's always C. It's always C. But the point I'm getting to is that you served as mayor and you served as city council. I want to start where you are now as city council. As simple as it is, what does a city council member do?
Yeah. So I just got reelected in November.
Congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah, so what do? We set policy for the city. So there's a number of ways that, just to kind of back up, because in Culver City and many of the 88 cities in LA County, like in LA, most of our council members and mayor are full-time. In West Hollywood, Santa Monica, Culver City, we're all part-time. So all of us, unless you're independently wealthy, and some people are, and that's fine, good for them. But most of us are working two jobs to kind of do this work. So what we do is set policy for the city. So what that looks like is housing policy, what's happening with public safety, how resources are allocated for public works and our parks and our senior center and our youth camps. Even cool things like we have a really fun summer concert series, and I think it's Fridays after 5 that we have in partnership with our public radio station. So we do all these cool things, and at the local level, all politics is local, but we really get to see and turn around results for our community and our stakeholders, our businesses, our studios, and our residents. So it's kind of cool.
That's wild. So people have to be, you're basically telling me that people have to work another job just to serve the city as a council member? Is the mayor full-time?
The mayor is not full-time.
That's great. Is it a funding issue? Is it a is there not enough to do?
Budget,
the city's pretty big.
It's a lot to do. It's only 5.2 miles, about 41-ish thousand residents. We're about to get a few thousand more with the influx of housing that we are required to build. There's this thing called ARENA, which is the target date or the target amount of housing that every city has to build to be in compliance with our state housing goals, because we're in the middle of a housing crisis, folks. So
we're going to get to that.
Okay. So yeah, our budget is $350 million. We are a smaller city, but it's just sort of how our charter city was developed. I would say for a long time, folks who served were independently wealthy or were very entrenched in like the chamber or business community. It's within the past, I'd say 8 to 10 years that we're starting to see, you know, renters or folks who are not independently wealthy or business owners, like people who have to work jobs, that actually have the opportunity to run for office in Culver City. Yeah.
Well, with that, I think that's inspiring, especially you're the first Black woman mayor, correct?
Yeah.
You were
Sorry, I didn't say that, huh?
No, I'm going to give you your flowers. The first Black woman mayor of Culver City ever. And the youngest? Or one of the youngest? If you weren't the youngest,
I was the youngest. I think I was the youngest one, because when I got
early
elected,
30s? That's
I
crazy.
was either 31 or 32. The youngest right now, he's 33. He just got elected in November. But I think I was 32 when I got elected. Pretty sure. I could fact check. I'm not good with mental math, but I think I was 32 when I got elected.
The youngest and the first Black woman to be mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And to not be independently wealthy, to be able to be a community servant, to be able to be a working class citizen who just, you know what, I care about where I'm living, I care about what my daughter has to go through. There's things I think your ideas you think you could bring to fruition to make this a better place to live. But you also have to be part-time. Have you seen your story and your example inspire others? Maybe whether it's in Culver City or some of the other charter cities and cities in LA County, where I'm like, you know what, I could do that too. If she could do that, especially do it at a young age.
I think, you know, we belong everywhere. I say that a lot because I think it's true. And so yeah, there are young folks. You know, my newest colleague considers me a mentor and a support for him. So I'm grateful for that. You know, but my main thing is like I'm just a regular person I'm contributing my time in these ways because it's worthwhile, because policy is a meaningful way to have an impact and support and significantly bring like more stability and support to folks, all folks, not just folks who are on the margins. While I do think that that's really important, I'm making sure that we center folks that are housing insecure, food insecure, you know, all the things, all the ways that people can be marginalized, particularly now. It's going to be so many more people who are struggling and needing support from the local level. So yeah, there are definitely folks. I was a part of creating the first Culver City Pride in Culver City in 2021. And, you know, it was a smaller, more community feel then. Now it's bigger. It's like performances and drag shows and all that stuff, which is wonderful. But when we first started it, it was really small. And like connecting with other single moms or folks who were just inspired by the fact that we were making sure that the city was supporting something like supporting our LGBTQIA community that had not been done before we created the space for that. So even this is the first year that we have a Juneteenth and MLK community committee that was supported by the city, right? And making sure the city is allocating those dollars and seeing that committee of 9 folks, and our friend and colleague Carissa is on that committee, but seeing them come together and celebrate the legacy and the service of MLK. And I'm so excited for Juneteenth this year, which I think is on the 21st of June at Ivy Station, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're in California, if you're in Culver City, come hang out with us. But yeah, like creating this space for more leadership, encouraging women and young folks to raise their hand, because our local government should be responsive to everyone that lives in our community, not just some folks. So I believe that, and I try to live that out as much as possible.
I'm curious, and you're a very principled woman, I can tell, right? Even from this conversation, like a very principled woman. Like I said, it seems like you're putting everybody first and the needs of others first, and I mean, it's super admirable. But you touched on something around this housing, and as a leader, and as an elected leader who's dealing with that here in California, but that is a problem and a crisis that I think so many people, and especially in these last few years, have been feeling, whether it's been interest rates going up and kind of staying up.
Yep.
So much uncertainty. Like there seems to be throughout the country a housing shortage, affordable housing.
Yeah.
Because then what is really considered affordable?
Yeah.
I mean, even back where I'm back east, and even back east, or when I go back to Chicago and Indianapolis, Cleveland, it feels like everything is the new luxury high-rise apartment. I think pushing people away from that original American dream of being able to buy a home,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, all right, let's rent. We have the complexities of private equity and that are coming in and buying up single-family homes that are all over the country. You've got so many different things that are happening. But here in California, this is our biggest state in the union, most populous state. It's one of the biggest economies. If California was its own country, it'd be a top 10 economy in the world.
I know that's right.
That's how much money and people and things are flowing here. So obviously it's complex, but it's a huge state. There's so many different
Huge.
Like I know most people think about California and LA or maybe San Diego, Southern California, warm, or maybe the Bay, but there's so many other places. But I'm curious here, you mentioned, talk to me about this program of how housing affordability and housing availability are really impacting this state. And I'm curious, talk to me about the program, or what are those solutions that you all are doing here in Culver City, in California, because I think it has echoes to our larger country, like where we're at and where we hope to be able to go, so people just have a place to live.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I just fundamentally believe, and I know this is like super progressive or left-leaning, but I do believe that housing is a human right. There's so many studies that support if you have a roof over your head, your children do better, you do better, all the things. So we really, and I think it really is an indictment of our society and our nation that we have so many, what are you going to say? Okay, that we have so many folks who are sleeping out on the street or who are dealing with housing insecurity. So I just want to kind of like ground the conversation.
Say that again?
What?
No, what you said that's a human right.
Yeah, I mean, housing is a human right, and it's an indictment of our country, of our state, and even in some ways our cities, that so many human beings are sleeping out on the street or are navigating housing insecurity. That's a policy choice, and we should make different policy choices. So one of the, I didn't talk about this, but one of my motivators and one of the things where they say like, what radicalized you? One of the things that radicalized me was we didn't have rent control in Culver City in 2020 when I initially ran. And so I remember, this is sad, but I spent a couple of birthdays or because our council meetings tend to run late. So I've turned, I think, 31 in council chambers, and I think I spent my last birthday in council chambers as well. So I turned 36 in council chambers. So I need a better birthday celebration than turning the next year in council chambers. But anyway, we started out advocating for rent control before we just had like this, and we still have it. I might be advocating soon for this body. We have a landlord-tenant mediation board committee, but it's not really any teeth in terms of like, it's voluntary. There's no, people can follow what they agree upon or not. There's no, teeth behind it. So anyway, so I set that aside. We advocated for rent freeze and some tenant protections. And when I got elected, first there was a freeze, and then they spent like a year figuring all that out. And the reason why I'm going into like rent freezes and eviction protection is because that's like prevention for homelessness. And while the housing crisis is a huge crisis, so is homelessness, and the two are really interconnected. So when I talk about both of them, it's because they touch one another, right? So if we don't have enough housing, or if housing is really expensive, if we're having a lot of evictions, like all these things are hand in hand. So all that aside, we now have rent control. Really excited about like fulfilling that
So
campaign
you
promise.
were able to get rent control here?
We were able to get rent control. We have a with the local like sort of public interest law firm called Betzetic, and we very recently got a right to counsel established in Culver City, which is huge. It's huge. So I'm really proud of that. It's only for folks who are like financially need it right now, but anyone who needs like advice still has access to it, but you only have a right to counsel if you meet the income qualifications. But it's a start. We didn't have it before. So we went from in 2020 not having rent control to in 2025 now we have rent control. We have a rent registry. So there's like a certain amount that landlords can increase the rent every year. It's based on like CPI and a couple other things, and so we monitor that. All of the costs are covered by the registry, so landlords have to spend, I think it's like $150 or $200, under $200, but annually to register their unit with the city, and it covers all the staff that work on the program financially. So it's like a really great model, and we just recently started the housing eviction prevention program with the right to counsel. So that's like the prevention piece. We also, since I've been in office, we started the Housing and Human Services Department. So we've put up Project Home Key, which is our city-owned half interim housing, half permanent housing, but it's about 75 units. Off of Sepulveda, so that's really big for Culver City. Before that, we didn't have any and it's not a shelter, but we didn't do that kind of work, and so now we do. We also have a wellness village. It's a safe camping site, but it's called Wellness Village. That will soon be a 100% affordable housing project. That'll probably take about 5 years to be stood up because housing takes so long, but I'm excited about that. They just came to present to us the other day in council. We have, an outreach team that we call the Love Team. So all of this stuff has sort of come online within the past 4 to 5 years. So since I've been on the council, so I feel really proud of that. Of course, you should be. Of course, we work from the legacy of other progressive councils, but we've been able to see a lot of this work over the finish line, and I'm really excited about that. So. Also, I talked about the RENA numbers. So a part of housing is making sure that we have zoning that encourages housing, that we have streamlined approvals or permitting, because that's another thing that slows down housing production. All the checks and unnecessary burdens or barriers that unfortunately we had. So we're working on streamlining some of those. We have this is super in the weeds, but we have pre-design approvals for ADUs, so I'm super excited about that. That came online last year, and we just upzoned a lot of neighborhoods. Not all the neighborhoods, unfortunately, but a lot of the neighborhoods got upzoned.
You know they can still hear you when you go back. Well, I'm curious, with all this housing,
Yes.
as you do get in the weeds, but we all just saw, I think, the country.
Oh, yeah, the wildfires.
The country, saw literally California burning, and so many people, especially the Altadena area, which was traditionally a predominantly black and minority area,
Yep.
but even Pacific Palisades. So it wasn't all just rich people who can afford another house.
Right.
But these are people who had their entire homes and existence wiped away. Have you seen a migration to Culver City, or how is this area, both Culver City, but I would speak to it as more Southern California, rallied around the victims of the fires?
Yeah, 2025 came in real raggedy. It's still really it's going to take many
Raggedy
years.
Ann.
Yeah.
Boy, Raggedy Ann, dog.
Wild. From the Sunset, the Eaton fire, the Palisade fire, the Sunset fire that, we were like, do we need to leave? That was a fire that impacted Hollywood and West Hollywood, which is a partner city to us on the west side. But yes, LA County already had a housing crisis, and now, we have lost thousands of homes. So those folks need to, to go somewhere. And so immediately in like Facebook groups, we saw people who, took in friends and family who were looking for an ADU or a place to live, which is another reason why the right to counsel was so important. That was a part of like a wildfire support, because we didn't want folks to be pushed out, right? So that maybe they could make a little bit more money in rent, right? So we saw people, evictions, based on our data, eviction filings are up. So last year, for the entire fiscal year, it was about 500 eviction filings. By March of this year, so it's not the full fiscal year, we were at about 750 eviction filings. So we're not even done with the year, right? So they weren't unable to give us like month to month, like to know whether more evictions were coming because of the fires. But we know that, again, the best way to prevent homelessness is to keep folks housed. And we know that there's all this increased pressure. A lot of folks in the Palisades are, coming to Culver City. So it just continues to light, and this continues to put more urgency, on us to produce more housing, to create the conditions that developers and affordable housing developers want to come and partner with the city. And that, there are places that we don't have that much space, so we do have to be amenable to density. I'm from the East Coast, so I'm not afraid of a little density. Sometimes my neighbors they don't agree, and that's okay. We respect where folks are. We honor that. And I feel like as a policymaker, knowing that there's so many young folks who, have to make the decision, do I want to have a child or do I want to stay in Culver City? Or like if we have a kid, we have to move to Portland or Texas or wherever, right?
Why? Because they can't afford it?
That is because they can't afford it. I have friends who do well, right, who have advanced degrees and everything. And it's like, people cannot afford to stay in the communities that they want to live in, which to me is a reflection of we need to be doing better as policymakers. We need to be creating the conditions to welcome and attract young families so that they, can see themselves in our community. So,
well,
yeah.
To that point about people feeling like they can't afford, I think a lot of people just say like, you know what, I can't afford outside in general. Sorry, that's what it's essentially out. And,
it's
shoot,
getting
now
worse.
It's getting worse where I can't even afford to be inside.
It's getting worse, yeah.
With the things you want. But I pulling back here is that like Culver City is a traditionally Democratic leadership, or Democrats have traditionally ran.
Did I say we were a sundown town? Did I mention that?
No, you didn't. Talk about it. Talk about it, because I was going to try to get there and then take that national, but. Culver City was traditionally a sundown town. Give us the history on that, because this shit is scary.
Yeah, y'all should definitely read The Color of Law. There's the book called Sundown Town. It's good, but The Color of Law is better, by Richard Rothschild, I think is his last name. And
but a sundown town.
So sundown towns are basically towns where if you were not white, you were not welcome when the sun went down. And so they would have signs. We have like actual clippings from ads for Culver City that said like, this is the model white city. So basically what that means, because people are like, well, it's 2025, like what does that have to do with today? What that means is people had the opportunity to buy in to this really cute community that we all love at rates that once it opened up after the Civil Rights Acts in the 60s and the Fair Housing Act, that it was a different price point, right? So even when you look at the rates of who are homeowners and who are renters in Culver City, it is reflective of the historical exclusion. We have more white homeowners in Culver City today versus folks of color who own homes. So I think it's about 65% white home ownership. And I think it's about 60 to 65% POC renters in Culver City, if I'm not mistaken. And we're almost 50% of our community are renters, like 45, 50%. So it matters. That history of exclusion, the whole city was, not available to folks of color. And, of course, the policies of policing and like all that stuff upheld that exclusion. And even after the Rodney King riots, now I'm not from here, but I remember that was like, even though I was younger, the Culver City Police Department hired one of the officers that was involved in that violence to Rodney King. So with full knowledge, right? Because that was a huge, a huge moment. And there have been incidents in the past, like even the current Inglewood mayor would tell me stories about how he felt he was targeted when he was driving through Culver City, right? And they were like, even when I decided to move here, there were folks of color who were like, "Are you sure you want to live in Culver City?" So
recently,
even when I moved here in 2016, and I was like, "Yeah, I want to move to Culver City," people were like, "You sure?" So yeah, we still see disparities in our police data as it pertains to use of force and all those things, and those are still growth opportunities for us in 2025. So we have to be accountable to that data and making sure that we're showing up for all of our residents and treating everyone fairly, whether they live, work, learn, or play here. But yeah, I think that legacy of exclusion is one that we need to be mindful of. We recently did a historical context study that is on our website now that I'm grateful that we invested in. We're in the middle of doing a racial equity action plan. We were working with the consultant team to help us through that, and I think we're in phase 2 of that project, so they should be coming back to us hopefully in the next couple of months to report back on what they're finding and community stakeholder meetings in terms of the next steps. So yeah, we're doing these things to kind of make sure that the city is open and available to everyone, but we know that the fact that it's open and available in 2025, when an average home price, for like a 2-bedroom home or a 3-bedroom home is like 1.4 or 1.6 million is not affordable, right? So what does that look like to encourage a little bit more density so that people have the opportunity to be a part of our community? And these are the hard conversations to have. This is, when I served in the general plan, it was all different folks from all different backgrounds, and it would be like, oh yeah, I can afford to buy my house now. And it's like, yeah, so who do you think's moving, who do you think can afford to be in our community? So it's an opportunity or a challenge that we're all navigating as elected officials, but it's one that I feel that we can overcome with intention to really identify the barriers to building and to development and doing everything we can to encourage it.
I think Culver City is giving a snapshot of a lot of, I think, where a lot of cities are and where we're going in terms of like people just feeling like it's unaffordable, certain people feeling oppressed, both economically. You mentioned some of the racial tensions there. I want to zoom out here because we are in a very unique and I would dare say troubling times in our troubling times in our country. And you are a young leader. You're still a young leader. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you're still a young leader.
All right, I'm 36, but
36? 36, you already been mayor and elected to council twice? That's young.
Okay.
And you're a mom of how old is your daughter?
My baby is 16. So y'all
so
pray
you were
for
a
me.
young mom.
I was a young mom. Yeah, I had my baby in college.
In Spelman? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
In Spelman.
Oh, dude.
I finished with my
Cheers.
class. That was very important to me.
Cheers. Like,
Yeah.
So just the perseverance and so many different things that you've had to clearly overcome and push through for your entire life to be able to get to this point. Like I said, you probably have so much more to go, but I think you are by far the exception and not the rule, just because so many people have been disillusioned. And by young people, I mean now Gen Alpha, who's just getting into that age, but millennials and Gen Z, like you're firmly in that millennial and Gen Z. Like millennials and Gen Z, we are the largest population in America. America, even though people are living longer, the baby boomers, Gen X, that are phasing out of leadership, and now as Gen Z and millennials age, and we're now in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, we've seen so much disillusionment, and it feels like our voices are not being heard. You see that in protests, you see that all over online, and you're starting to see like that American dream we were promised.
Yeah.
Like if I do good, if I go to college or I go to trade school or if I go to community college, I do good, don't break the law, I can get a job, I can, afford to put some food on my table.
Yeah.
If I want to do a little more, maybe I can get a second job, but maybe go take my kids on vacation, like you said, housing as a human right, afford somewhere to live, hopefully buy a house, the white picket fence, that whole dream we were sold for hundreds of years. And even then, as we've gone through segregation and we've continued to deal with the racial strife that is, and the stain that is slavery, that is, I think, marks everything. It marks everything still to this day.
Yep.
But I say all that to say is that, like, we're feeling like hopeless. Like, it's not, did our vote count? Did this count? Like, and as you went into, I'm glad you went into the weeds. I don't think that was too, you nerded out too much. Like, the complexity of the housing issue, how it's forcing people into homelessness, how it's intertwined into so many things, affordability, how it's intertwined into, like, history of, like, racism and the sundown, all these complexities. And I think all of it comes back to bear. It used to feel like, oh, we are still headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think in these last few months, even before Trump, but definitely in these last few months, it feels like, whoa, like, are we just going back and taking back progress? California, and here's I'll get to the question or the idea that the thread I'd love for you to pull on. I would say California has always been seen as, like, the liberal place in America. Like, you guys were the first for weed. We don't even know if you were the first for weed.
Is that the example?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Dude, if you're not in California, you think Kendrick Lamar and Dr. Dre had a song.
The Recipe.
The 3W, the recipe.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you know exactly where I was going. Women,
I was
weed,
just listening to it the other day.
Women, weed, and weather. Like, the entertainment capital.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun. You think of the beaches, you think of the mountains, but you think of, like, hey, you can do what you want. Like, this is a more liberal place. This is where we go. And if this place here is supposed to be the most progressive and liberal, which if you uncover, you realize it's not completely.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to, like, what is that message you have to young people to not, like, just check out completely and be all of hope, like, hopelessness? Because, like, this Trump shit is crazy.
Yeah.
News stories every day, and now it feels like it's a trickle down effect. Like, you don't have to just be in DC to feel this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I have a neat answer to this because it is complex. We are, even being a parent and trying to make sense of this moment. You're supposed to, the arc of justice or the arc of the moral compass. What is it? What's the MLK quote?
The moral arc of the universe bends towards justice.
Yes.
Here, come this way, just
Sorry.
a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
Sorry. So, so that's what we're supposed to say, even though I butchered that quote. But it doesn't feel like that right now. And, I think if you look at history and after, like, health pandemics, there tends to be a little swing toward fascism in the history.
Seriously? Like, historically?
So this is, and I think it was Chris Hayes that talked about this on his podcast. But yeah, I think after the Spanish flu and a couple other, like, mass, where a bunch of people died, people start, mistrust. And then we were isolated. I mean, there are a number of reasons. So we don't have to get into the why, but we know in this moment there's a lot of nationalism, there's a lot of fascism, there's a lot of mistrust of our neighbors, and there's a lot of blame. Because I think it's easier. And then, there's also, we talked about this a little, like, there's a literacy crisis happening right now too, and the average American is reading at a 5th or 6th grade level, which I think is really important to lift up because education is so important and it's so much easier to control people if
they don't.
Yeah.
They don't, and they don't know. If
so
they don't,
I wasn't going to say it that way, but yes.
No, if they're ignorant, I think the ignorance, it's the swirl, that fascism or that swirl of mistrust, ignorance, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It just means that not knowing, the lack of knowledge, And then if your education level isn't there, or your literacy level isn't there, that means even if I give you this knowledge, can you even read it and retain it and understand it?
Yeah.
But I would always challenge, and I think that's where Trump wins so much, is that he probably speaks at a second grade level, but at least people can feel like they, even though he's lying all the time.
He's an entertainer. That's how he wins, because, at least in my opinion, he has mastered the game of attention. Like, there's an attention complex right now, and people called Joe Biden Sleepy Joe or whatever, but like, we were sleeping. We were not stressed. And now, so in this moment, I rest on Miriam Kaba is a abolitionist, and she does like a lot of community advocacy work, I think based out of Chicago. She might be in New York now, but she has this quote that it's like, hope is a discipline. And I love that, because people think of hope being this like, easy kind of feeling and, joyful. And it can be all those things, but it's also like are the mics working? It's okay. So it's like a resolve to work toward a better future. Like, what makes me encouraged is that we know that, it was just Harriet Tubman Day, March 10th. It was the day of her transition, but it was a national day of rest for Black women. Unfortunately, I had a council meeting and work, so I couldn't rest.
I don't even think people really, I feel like we need to lift that holiday up. March 10th,
March 10th.
Harriet Tubman Day. Harriet Tubman Day. Black women are supposed to be resting.
We should be resting, but I had to work that day. But I lifted it up at the council meeting. But the reason why I lifted it up is that, work like she lifted up to free other enslaved human beings, right? We know in 2025 that was wrong, but she was working to envision a world where we were free. She was working to make that world free then, make us free then. And we all have to do the work, again, in our own capacities to work toward a world that we might not see today. And it's so important. I think about, I went to South Africa when I was in law school, and my mind was blown that apartheid happened in the 90s. I'm like, how did this happen? How did this happen in the 1990s? And it's because you have, strategically people work to hoard power and make people fearful, and then use brute force to, get the things that they want. But we have got to work together. And I know Black people are resting, and I feel that. I feel that. I'm not going to say you need to be out in the street. Do what feels right for you. But we all have to be resisting.
I don't agree with that. The resting. Tell me that. Why? Just because shit is burning. Shit is burning, and I get it. And I see all the memes of hey, Black women are not going to save the world, or Black people shouldn't have to save the world. Let's save even saving ourselves. We can't rest ourselves. Nobody's going to save us. So even if we're not trying to save the world.
Yeah, I see it both ways. I feel people are like, we told you. We turned out, we voted, we did everything we could, and y'all didn't believe us, so now we out. So I get it. I also get people we are most impacted, we need to get in the paint. So wherever people are, I honor that. And I think that resistance looks different. And I think people should be if your lane is to be a part of the Tesla takeovers, hey, more power to you. If your lane is to advocate for, eviction protections, or to advocate for know your rights, resources in your community, which is something that I'm hopeful will be coming online for us in Culver City really soon, something we're advocating for, I've been advocating for. And then, however we show up, whether your lane is to, work to support your local library, or support national parks, or support your Medicaid or in California Medi-Cal benefits, right? We know that this congressional district that we sit in, Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove, we're the fourth highest in the nation enrolled in Medicare benefits, right? So fighting and advocating for those benefits to remain and not be cut, right? Social Security, right? There's so many, we don't have to be aware of every single thing that is happening, but we do need to pick something and work toward making that better, for preserving that, for whatever, right? So we can't do everything, but everyone should be doing something, and that will look different depending on how people want to show up. So I honor where people are. I understand like the grief of, I still feel a lot of grief of what we could have had with the with the Harris-Walz presidency and vice presidency, and the peace that we all could be experiencing right now. The fact that our stock markets would probably be fine and we wouldn't be talking about tariffs, and just all the good things that we could have had. There's grief around that, and I honor that, but we're here now. We got to make it to the midterms. Hopefully there will be midterms. This fool is already talking about running for a third term. People are texting people in chats on Signal with reporters. Like, it's just a mess. But hope is a discipline, and that means that we can't give up on one another, because
Hope is
we're
a
worth
discipline.
it.
Tell me more about that. Say
That's
that again.
Miriam Kaba's quote. Hope is a discipline.
Hope is
It's
a
her,
discipline.
and I love it because it is something that you have to practice even when you don't want. I hate working out. Sometimes I don't like doing the things. Sometimes we don't like doing the things we're supposed to do, right? But we do them because the arc is supposed to bend towards justice or whatever. So we got to make it. So
You sound a little hurt, a little down about it.
It's
What
not
is-
easy. It's not easy to be out here trying.
Give me your what's your opinion on? I'm curious. Like, what's your opinion on where you're seeing in these first few months
It's
of
bad.
a new presidency, and also like that trickle down effect? Because like you guys are literally on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of people think your governor is probably going to run for president. I mean, I feel like he's been running for president for the last few years.
I don't like what he's doing with all these conservative guests and how he's throwing trans people under the bus. And it's just, again, I don't like that. I don't think we should be punching down on our most vulnerable neighbors, whether you're in the community or not. I just don't think that that's how we should be building coalitions, but that's just my pair of pennies. I'm sorry, the question was, what are we doing out here? So Culver City, we are not federally funded by that much. I think they subsidize some of our Section 8 vouchers and some transportation dollars, but we're not really funded by the federal government. But let me tell you where it will have an impact. I serve on the LASA county board on homelessness for the county, and we're really excited. Homelessness seems to be down for the second year in a row for the first time in over, 5 or 6 years. So I'm really encouraged by that. But if federal funding stops coming to LA County for homelessness, we will see an uptick in homelessness. We will have less dollars for shelters, for wraparound services, things that will tangibly support folks coming inside, and that is something that I think should not happen. Not to mention our climate goals. We talked about the fires earlier, but I want to be explicit that that is directly tied to climate change, and climate change is here. We're going to start seeing more exaggerated, unfortunate climate acts because we're not doing right by our Earth, our Mother Earth. So I'm really proud. We're working on a climate emergency plan. This is something we couldn't get passed in 2024. Now that we have a switch in the council to a more progressive council, we were able to get that done this spring. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, so it depends on how much money that you get, but we're in the upside down because, like, why wouldn't the federal government support, eradicating homelessness? Why wouldn't they support infrastructure supports? Why wouldn't they support transportation and cutting emissions and all these things? So we're in a really upside down space that makes me not hopeful. So like as much as private entities, philanthropy will be something that people will have to be more public-private partnerships, and whether that's good or bad is moot at this point because that's just the natural flow of how things will go. Because it seems like unless you're allowing, ICE to come in to your neighborhoods to, support folks, which is, not the reason why housing is high, and it's not the reason why you're struggling finding a job, but it's another conversation for another day. But anyway, so we're going to see shifts.
You got a lot of strong thoughts. I love it. We're going to definitely have to do a part 2.
So I don't know. It is hard to be hopeful because all of this is a choice. Politics is about like the allocation of resources, and we're seeing that in real time. We're seeing someone who doesn't believe in government institutions at the charge, at the helm of our government. And it's already having, we're 2 months in, and it's already having catastrophic impacts, and people are going to die, and people are going to be harmed, and it's really not great, So it's like holding that is tough and naming that is tough, because this is why I don't mind people who are like, I'm not going out, because like, it didn't have to be like this. Like, VP Harris told us, like, there are memes going around where she literally is naming exactly what's happening now, like in debates and in interviews and stuff like that. But like, this country really has to get beyond our issue with misogynoir and sexism and racism. Like, if we don't get beyond those things, even just the fact that they're saying, oh, DEI is like, you're unqualified. It's like, I don't know. It makes me sad that we are still not serious about the fact that this country was founded on chattel slavery, and that it touches every system, from mortgages to insurance to all these things that we use now. We don't think anything of it. The vestiges of, the ownership of other human beings is wild, and we should talk about that and how it shows up in everything from healthcare to housing to all the things. So, and our denial of that does not make us stronger. It makes us weak, and it makes us vulnerable to fascism that we are slipping into slowly.
I think one of the problems with even when you say like slipping into fascism, most people they think that's a bad word, like how we used to say that about socialism, like, oh, Democrats are socialists. People don't know even the definition of fascism. I'm going to look it up right now just so I can.
Hold on. I'm going to do you one better because I was on Instagram today, but Meta is doing a horrible job. But is Meta in Culver City? I don't know. If they're in Culver City, I'll take it back. But
so
there's
fascism,
a quote.
Here, let me,
Okay.
The technical definition.
Okay.
Fascism is a political ideology and a mass movement that dominated many parts of Central, Southern, and Eastern Europe between 1919 and 1945. There are also adherents in Western Europe, United States, South Africa, Japan, Latin America, Middle East. Fascism, in its simplest terms, is a far-right form of government where most of the country's power is held by one ruler or a small group under one party, i.e. Mussolini or Hitler, far fascist leaders. So fascism, far-right, authoritarian, so people who are forcefully putting down their authority, ultra-nationalists, people who are, as you can see, keep America great again, ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, and forcible suppression of opposition. If I could, we can name how that is happening in broad daylight every time. But I'm curious, what did you see?
So my girl, Toni Morrison, has this. I love the source of self-regard. This is I might read this in my book club. Read it again because it's an excellent. Toni Morrison is just read all of her things. She's fantastic, and may she rest in power. Okay, so she has this quote from her book or collection of essays, The Source of Self-Regard. And it says, fascism talks ideology, but it is really just marketing for power. It is recognizable by its need to purge, by the strategies it uses to purge, and by its terror of truly democratic agendas. It is recognizable by its determination to convert all public services to private entrepreneurship, all nonprofit organizations to profit-making ones, so that the narrow but protective chasm between governance and business disappears. It changes citizens into taxpayers so individuals become angry at even the notion of the public good. It changes neighbors into consumers so the measure of our value of humans, our value as humans, is not our humanity or our compassion or our generosity, but what we own. It changes parenting into panicking so that we vote against the interests of our own children, against their health care, their education, their safety from weapons. And affecting these changes, it produces the perfect capitalist, one who is willing to kill a human being for a product, a pair of sneakers, a jacket, a car, or kill generations for control of products, oil, drugs, fruit, and gold.
That's scary how accurate
know.
that is. Can you send that to me?
I can.
Please do when this is over.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how to transition into.
I know,
I was going to say because I know we're coming up, but
it's not great.
So I'll say
not
this is
great.
and see if you follow me here.
Okay.
This has been a very enlightening and educational conversation to me, even for me, just on understanding some of the complexities of this city and this part of the country, and then also even your journey of where I think you're one of those right leaders who are in the right place at the right time. I'm not just saying that. I really do believe that. Hey, we all.
But
my friend asked me the other day, like, don't you be tired doing all this other stuff? I'm like, I am, but I've never known greatness. I've never known real change to happen by people who didn't push through. So I mean, while I'm tired, I always think about, man, at least I don't. I mean, even though they just repealed segregation and
They sure did. They sure did.
I was like, at least I'm not dealing with dogs being sicked on me. I mean, at least I'm not in full-on slavery.
Yeah.
But I say that to say, it's kind of going back. One thing about this podcast and this platform, Hip Politics, where you see right there on the mic flag, we're mobilizing the political power of hip hop, of the hip hop generation. I think you're firmly, even whether I'm out deep or not deep into the music, but you are part of the culture. I think you represent so many pieces of the culture, just by your existence and the work that you've done, in your willingness to disrupt. My question to you, or at least the point, I'm curious if you feel this way, is like the music and the culture, especially of hip hop, is it now being a little over 50 years old, has consistently been the voice. It was always often called the CNN of the streets. It's rooted in black culture, but now this is multi-ethnic, it's multiracial, it's multi-generational. But it always has as a root of like really telling various sides of the people's story. It's not I mean, there's the bling bling era. You got the sexy rap. You got the bravado rap. But there's also so many different parts of the genre. Even in songs and that music, there's still people who are either showing resistance, showing us the way. I think now we're at a time more than ever where the music and the culture, the music, the culture, the fashion, the movies, the shows, and then the ubiquity of hip hop, and as it's matured, there's an opportunity for that platform and for our culture to be able to be one of the leaders in fighting back. Will all rappers and all hip hop artists and people be on the fighting? No, and I don't expect them to. I don't need them to. But I do think this is an opportunity where more artists and more people who are connected in other parts of hip hop, not even just the music, need to connect with you, need to connect with folks like you and our young leaders who see like because you are tired, but it's a thing we just gonna have to keep pushing through. Like your muscles muscles don't get bigger if you stop lifting on the second set.
Yeah.
So you mean like you're gonna get tired. But I'm curious to you. I know I said I was going to ask this in a different way, but we often do a thing. We used to do the top five. I feel like top five is kind of dead, but we in the big three era.
Okay.
Shout out to Ice Cube out here on the West Coast, but we in the big three era.
Okay.
I'm curious, who are your big three most inspirational hip hop artists of all time? People who truly inspired you, Yasmine. For whatever reason.
Okay. Inspired me.
Whether they or their music or or a singular song, but
I mean,
three
so
inspirations.
I'm from Jersey. My brother and my sister transitioned, but my brother is 12 years older than me. My sister was 14 years older than me. So I grew up listening to a lot of Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. So like my Sweet 16 song was The Sky's the Limit. That was my theme. I was listening to that song the other day. So I mean, not that his music is particularly inspiring, but it's a little, it's a little hustle, go out and get it kind of energy. So I love, even to this day, listening Life After Death, and so I don't know whether that's necessarily inspiring, but
no, sky is the limit. Just keep on pressing on.
It's like
sky
forever. It's a classic. It's a classic.
I love it. It's a classic. It inspires. I'm about to listen to it in the car. Keep going. All right, so we got "Sky's the Limit" by Biggie. Give me another one. Whether it's an artist, a song.
So
album.
Kendrick had a big year. So definitely Kendrick. I feel like the movement song in 2020 was all right. So that's another one that I love. And I want to say, this is controversial, but so I used to love DMX, and may he rest in power. I just created a playlist because people be testing me. My playlist is called "Try Jesus, Not Me." So wait, I'm trying to.
By Toby and you.
No,
you
yeah,
I
I do.
Try Jesus.
Yeah, but no,
don't try me.
I don't even know if he's on here.
Cause I
actually have a lot of T.I. on here. That's because I went to Spelman in 2006. So.
Prime T.I. eras.
Prime. That was such a moment. Like, do y'all remember the ATL movie? Like, and I was going to Spelman, please. I was just. I feel like But these are not inspirational songs. These are just like...
No, you keep discounting stuff. What inspires you, Yasmine-Imani McMorrin?
I mean...
Councilwoman.
Okay.
Badass mom.
I'm looking at this. These are not very... These are like...
New Jerusalem's fine.
Try me songs.
New Jerusalem's finest.
DMX is honorable mention. Honorable mention. So we'll just
I'm gonna
honorable mention him. Kendrick, all right. Sky is the limit. And let me see. You know what song I like? Classic. I love Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares. Let's just do that one. Because that's inspirational too. And it has an epic beat drop that, everybody knows Dreams and Nightmares. We're not going to comment on Meek Mill and how he's showing up on the Today of Things. But yes, that'll round us out. Those three. Honorable mention DMX.
Thank you. Let me just be the first to say thank you. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for showing up both when you're tired. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for for sitting in on our panel and sharing with the students over when we did the Hip Politics New Voices of Democracy panel.
Shout out to Mayor Leo.
I definitely want to have you back probably in the next season. Like I think there's so much more. I'm gonna be watching your career and kind of watching what you do. Why are you laughing? I'm gonna be watching you for a while. Like I wanna make sure. I can't jump out there and say I ran for office. I can't jump out there and put my whole life on the line, like and do so much and like we're gonna need people like you and a lot of yous all over the country in order to be able to fight back. Because I think where we're headed, the last vestiges of like resistance are in our cities, not just the big cities, not just in LA, in the Chicagos, or in the Culver cities, in the Cleveland Heights, in the Hyattsville, Marylands. You know what I mean? In the Bridgerton, was it Bridgerton, New Jersey? I don't know.
Oh, New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. No, I was gonna say.
I'm like Bridgerton.
Man, I stepped all over it. It was about to sound super inspiring. That was about to be a clip. Anyway, but long story short, our big, small cities, even in our rural towns.
Yeah.
That city, I think that's still where that local community, human to humanness is.
Yeah.
And when you show up and really see your neighbors and understand and the governance around that, like you can be the shining example of what politics and what a vote means and what politics can mean and do good for both individuals, families, and a larger community. So like I said, I want to give you your flowers and thank you. And thank you for the time. I want to make sure, let's get your follower count up. Let's, tell me where people can find you, interact with you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm everywhere but Twitter, y'all. I had to leave that site. It was getting, so I'm on Blue Sky now.
Did you go to Spill? Did you go to Spill?
I did not. I went to Blue Sky.
Go to Spill. It's black owned.
All right. I'm going to go over there.
Or fan base. You better get one of the two black ones. Dang.
All right. Listen.
Black
First of all,
woman.
I don't even want to be on social media. It's such a time suck. TikTok really, my screen, it's not good. But anyway, I'm at Yasmine McMorrin on all the socials, on Facebook, all the things, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. So say hey.
Well, Yasmine McMorrin, we'll share it in the comments. But so thank you, Councilwoman, Mayor. Thank you for joining us today on another episode of the Hip Politics Podcast. I hope to all our listeners, this has both been educational, inspirational.
Hasn't been inspirational.
I need another national. I need another national. I'm gonna get that with the next pod. But no, I'm just kidding. See, we play around. Like that's the beauty of these kind of conversations. It's just like I love to be in conversation with great leaders and great people, and I think so many people get so much out of it. So, Councilwoman, thank you so much, and to our Hip Politics family, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, download this episode, play it 3 times in the back. We're growing like crazy right now. We've got a lot of good things coming up, and thank you for tuning in. So with that, this is your boy, Mr. Cameron Calvin, aka Mr. Hip Politics, aka Mr. the 212 to the 206 to the 213 to the every over place you want to be. No, thank you guys for listening for another episode. And like that, we're out. Peace.
Hip Politics, baby.